Hello everyone. Yesterday I didn't upload a video as I didn't really make much progress throughout the campaign. I didn't really make any upgrades. So I wanted to spend more time today getting just that. As also yesterday I was getting ready to move this Saturday. Previous videos have been pretty long. So instead for this one, I'm going to just show gameplay first. Work up towards a boss, and then kind of go over what I've done and then what I'm thinking about.
This well waits for something. An offering, perhaps.
Interruption changes nothing. My reign begins now.
I see no future king, only a traitor.
Shall rise. Lo, meddle with destiny. My empire belongs.
So,
As you should.
when I was playing before, I had the idea of using Armour Piercing Rounds as like my clear, and then when I get to a boss, I would use high velocity. Once the armor is broken, to also apply Riven Armor, and then with Riven Armor and Impale, I would then use Fragmentation Rounds to try to apply the biggest bleed possible. Still, that same logic is here. But with some changes. So as I was playing, there was a pretty big problem with trying to use Armor Piercing Rounds as like a method of clear, is that since I'm relying on chain, that nukes my damage, but even then, just the way it works, it's better if like things are running towards you. But if you're doing mapping or like big open areas, it kind of stinks. The only time it really felt good is in corridors, kind of like this area. So instead, I was playing around with a lot of different skills just to see what worked. I tried explosive shot with Nova, so it shoots like the 5 projectiles per click, and with some AoE investment, it would kind of get the whole room. Thing is, though, with that, is it converts a portion of the physical damage to fire. So as you're clearing the bleed, if I care about it as much, is it going to be as good? But since this is a bleed-focused build, I feel like it's better to try to find something that just does pure physical and stick with it. And that's kind of where I stuck with Armour Piercing Rounds for the longest time. Instead, I chose Siege Cascade as my method for like AoE clearing and then armor breaking. So Siege Cascade was changed in this patch. Previously, a lot of its damage was baked behind the quality, where if things were immobilized, you would just do a lot more damage. Instead, what they ended up doing is they shifted a lot of the damage from the quality and put it into the base skill for both the impact and the explosion. So impact is when I shoot in the air. That initial shot, that's the impact. And that delayed explosion there is this 374. There's no conversion here. It's strictly just whatever I have for my attack. That's how much damage it's going to do, but since I'm doing all physical, then it's just going to do physical damage. It still has this mod on here for more damage against immobilized targets, which for being a Titan still works, because immobilized means the target needs to be frozen, pinned, heavy stun, or electrocuted. And for at least this build, I'm doing heavy stunned. So in Siege Cascade, I have Bleed, Brutality 3, Armour Break 3. There is like Unatolls that you could get later. It's just super expensive. I don't have a lot of money. It's probably going to be fine, but I'm actually using this endurance charges for something later. Heft and projectile acceleration. One thing about this skill and then Hailstorm rounds is that when you shoot up in the air and then the projectile falls to the ground, that travel time is pretty slow. Just putting this gem in makes using the skill feel that much better. Because one thing that sucks is if I'm running around and I'm shooting this, the enemy, let's say, was right there, right? It locked onto the target, but as I'm running, the guy's now here, but it's exploding over here. So I was considering getting projectile speed on the tree. I'm kind of near it. I've seen bug reports that this more damage portion doesn't work. Whether or not if it does or does not work, I still feel like the projectile speed makes this feel better to use. Fragmentation rounds, I'm still using decuts 2 just for the bleed. Brutality 2, although I need to change this to Brutality 3. I honestly don't know why I have not done that. Bleed 3, just for 100% chance to inflict bleeding. Heft and Defy, because I am using Constricting Command. For those of you that are watching that might want to play this build, this right here is going to be the most expensive part to at least get the build running because of all the surrounded nodes that I've picked up on the tree. At least I saw it was like 100 exalts, and on League Start it's probably going to be around there. I had a Raslathas laying around just from another character that I was playing with. I slotted it on. It's probably the best thing for this build. It's fairly well rolled. High velocity rounds, I have Close Combat 2, Brutality 3, Heft, Impale, and Defy 2. And then for Spirit Gems, I have Charge Regulation, which I think was called Charge Infusion previous patch. Herald of Blood, and then War Banner. I didn't use War Banner there. I probably should have. but all I need to do is put into the socket Durisso's Defiance to make it so I need half the glory to use this, because it gives a more attack damage modifier. Herald of Blood, the setup right here is just to make it kind of proc itself. So when something dies from bleed, it'll use this Bursting Plague, because Herald of Blood poisoned the target. And then Bursting Plague can't poison, I'm pretty sure. But it can bleed. So it kind of like synergizes. Then Overreach just for area effect. Charge regulation. Because I'm using this for Armour Break, when I get an Endurance charge, this Endurance charge naturally doesn't do anything in PoE 2. You need other things to facilitate benefits. So with charge regulation, at least for now, I'm getting more defenses. So this would be more armor. It will proc every 12-ish seconds once I get more gem quality on it. Gear-wise, I've not really touched anything in here. I'm still using fucking Wonderlust. Main thing that I'm changing while I'm leveling up is just looking for a really good crossbow. I feel like that's kind of all you need, and then just path on the tree outside of, you know, this. And this is extra, but this is where a lot of your power is going to be. I'll talk about Ascendancy real quick. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go for Crushing Blows and going into Surprise Strength. I think there is power in Stone Skin, and if I feel like I'm just falling over, then I'll pick this up. But I want to get a feel for how this more defenses while you have an Endurance charge feels. It is only 18% instead of 50. It's also conditional on the fact that I have an Endurance charge instead of just all the time. But being able to stun more frequently, which means, again, Siege Cascade, I unlock this 80% increased immobilized effect. Or more damage, I should say. That should feel really good for clearing. And then because of Bloodhound's Mark, being able to aggravate a bleed is really good. But I feel like I'm going to proc stun really fast on anything that isn't a pinnacle boss. And then I think this gains like immense value, because then I can do my entire combo to try to get the biggest bleed possible from frag rounds. Then while the enemy is stunned, I don't know if a current bleed is affected by this node. If not, that's okay, because I'm probably going to just use Siege Cascade anyways while they are stunned to get even more damage. So on the tree, I'll just type in int to make it easier to see. I talked about where I path from the previous video. I played around with a lot of different things. There is time loss jewels where you can get chance to bleed. I slotted it here. It does allow me to get more bleed chance, because the thought was I get more bleed on the tree, then I don't need to use these support gems. After playing around with it, and I forgot to mention, I got one of those with a large radius. So that large radius was hitting these chance to bleed nodes here. So it was turning up to be like 9. It was basically hitting everything here. It was hitting these two. And then obviously these surrounded nodes here. The reason why I swapped back to just using a different time loss jewel and then using this is I feel like if I have to waste a support gem to get 100% chance to bleed, and it could save me an overall 11-ish points, because I did have to path up to here to make it worth it, and then I had to make sure I was taking all of these extra nodes. I feel like I could use those extra 11 points to travel to things that are way more important, like making sure I'm in this armor area, making sure I can pick up the skill speed later on, and then eventually anywhere else I need, you know? So while I think it can be okay, at least for what I'm doing, I think it's just best to slot into the support gem. I actually did pick up this Herald node just to make it a little bit easier for clear speed. I do have reservation efficiency, which instead of being, I think it's like 5 naturally, it's now up to like 10 because of this node here. It does help. Maybe if I get up like more spirit, I might slot in something else. I pathed over here. I picked up these nodes. So while I'm running around and shooting, it costs less, or it doesn't slow me down as much. More damage as well. I am currently getting increased magnitude. I'm going to go over here, pick up the jewel socket, get even more magnitude right here. I went over here first. I made sure I got another one of these nodes, just increase effective passive skills. Armor is the main stat I was looking for. This life leech and presence AoE, I don't give a shit about. And instead of having presence AoE, maybe it has like increased damage. And then for the suffix, instead of life leech, I don't know. Maybe it's like something with notables, something with small passives. I'm not too sure. Once I get this, I'm debating going down here to get more magnitude. I honestly don't feel like I would need it per se, because I do have a lot here. But it couldn't help. Or couldn't hurt, sorry. I'm also debating going here to just get more damage, because I don't have to path, even more stun buildup. But I think first, once I get done with this, I'm going to path up to here, get Proj damage, get the projectile speed. The AoE is also kind of nice because of the explosion from here. The AoE for frag rounds, I don't really think does much. But also, instead of picking up this node, there is this guy that's right here. So increased attack damage, even more stun buildup. But I do a shitload of increased damage against stun targets. So I'm pretty sure things are going to be stunned all the time. So this gains like a lot of value. One thing to actually talk about is this right here. So the Cunning Fox, it gives 5% quality to all skills. That 5% would actually bump this up to, I'm pretty sure 100%. Because each 5% here gives 20. So that's quite a lot of damage for just one skill and for a couple points for attributes. Fuck it. You know, I'm pathing right here anyways. This 5% also affects frag rounds. So it will get even more physical damage when it merges. Because again, for shotgun style skills, if it has this merging tag, the shrapnel can form into like a single shot. Bloodhound's Mark, it's whatever, even more stun buildup loss, even more time in between consuming charges, which is sick, even more blood loss explosion damage, even more reservation. So a lot of value in this node too. And then eventually I think once I get those damage nodes and like this skill speed, I'm just spending the remaining points in armor. So picking up this guy here, going over here, picking up these nodes, picking up these nodes here, and then I'm pretty sure I'm at like 95 level, or level 95. And then in this slot for Jewel, pick up the Abyss Jewel that came with this patch. It's a unique one. I'm pretty sure there's a mod on there where you gain extra damage as physical. That would just be extra more, you know, to apply to the bleed. And then maybe something like increased armor from body armor. Maybe increased all res, max all res. Not too sure. God damn it, I'm already at 20 minutes. I yap too much. But, yep, this is where I'm at with kind of like a day 2. I'll be working on to day 3. I don't know if I'm going to be putting out a video tomorrow. I still need to get ready to move, and then on Saturday I will be moving, so that will take up most of my day. So I probably won't be able to progress as much. But thanks for watching. See you guys next time.